She was found perfectly tucked into bed. No signs of struggle. No forced entry. The coroner ruled it natural causes and everyone moved on. But her daughter couldn't sleep. Because she knew her mother never made her bed. What if I told you that one of America's most celebrated crime writers, a woman who had spent her entire career predicting how killers think, watched her own daughter get murdered in cold blood, spent decades uncovering the truth, named the killers publicly in a book, handed the evidence to the police, and still got nothing? No arrest. No trial. No justice. Just silence. And a case file that keeps getting buried every time someone gets too close. This is the story of Kait Arquette. And once you hear it, you will not stop thinking about it. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. The fact that you're here tells me you're someone who doesn't settle for the official version of things, and neither do I. Hit that subscribe button real quick. It's a small thing, but it means everything. It's how you show your support and how you make sure you never miss a story like this one. Now let's get into it. July 16, 1989. Albuquerque, New Mexico. The air is dry and hot the way it always is in the middle of a desert summer. 18-year-old Kait Arquette is driving home from her boyfriend's apartment. It's late. The roads are quiet. She has no reason to think anything is wrong. Then a car pulls up beside her on the highway. 2 shots. Her windshield shatters. Her body slumps. Her car drifts slowly off the road and crashes into the curb. By the time paramedics reach her, she is unconscious and bleeding heavily from a gunshot wound to the head. She is rushed to the University of New Mexico hospital. Her family rushes there too, her mother, her father, her siblings, all of them standing in a waiting room praying for a miracle that never comes. 48 hours later, Kait Arquette is dead. She was 18 years old. The Albuquerque Police Department investigated and within a short time delivered their conclusion. Random drive-by shooting. Wrong place, wrong time. Case closed. The city moved on. The newspapers moved on. And most people, devastated as they were, accepted it. But Kait's mother could not. Here's what you need to understand about Lois Duncan. This was not just a heartbroken mother running on grief and desperation. Lois Duncan was one of the most successful thriller and suspense writers in American history. Her books have been published in dozens of countries. I Know What You Did Last Summer. That's hers. Stranger with My Face. Hers. She had spent 30 years writing about murder, deception, cover-ups, and the psychology of people who do terrible things and get away with them. She knew how these stories worked. She knew what the details were supposed to look like. And the details surrounding her daughter's death did not look like a random shooting. They looked like something else entirely. In the weeks before she died, Kait had been different. Quiet in a way that felt heavy. Nervous in a way that felt specific. She had told her mother she needed to talk, that something was wrong, that something was going on with her boyfriend Miguel Garcia and the people around him. She never said what it was. She never got the chance. After the funeral, Lois started pulling on that thread. Miguel Garcia, the boyfriend Kait had been dating for months, turned out to have connections that the police seemed completely unbothered by. He and several associates were later linked to a Vietnamese organized crime network operating in New Mexico. They were running an insurance fraud scheme. Staging car accidents. Filing false claims. Collecting thousands of dollars in fraudulent payouts. It was disciplined, it was deliberate, and it required everyone involved to stay completely silent. Kait had been living inside that world without fully knowing it. And at some point, something shifted. She found something out. Or she asked the wrong question. Or someone decided she was a risk they couldn't afford. And that is when Lois Duncan believes her daughter was killed. Now stay with me here because this is where the story gets darker. Lois hired a private investigator. She tracked down witnesses. She followed leads that the police had either ignored or dismissed. And piece by piece, a picture started forming, one that pointed directly away from a random drive-by and straight toward people who had a clear, calculated reason to want Kait dead. But every time she got close, something happened. Witnesses who had spoken openly suddenly went silent. A key informant who had provided information about the shooting was found dead. The official explanation was suicide. Evidence that should have existed wasn't there anymore. And then the phone calls started. Warnings. Vague but deliberate. The kind that don't have to spell things out because the message is already perfectly clear. Back off. Stop digging. Let it go. Lois Duncan did not let it go. In 1992, 3 years after burying her daughter, she published a book called Who Killed My Daughter? It wasn't a memoir. It wasn't a therapy exercise. It was a case file disguised as a book. She laid out every piece of evidence she had found. She reconstructed the timeline. She named names. She asked the questions the police had refused to ask out loud. And she put it all in print for the entire world to read. The book didn't bring an arrest. But it lit a fire that has never fully gone out. Because in 2009, 20 years after Kait's death, cold case investigators went back to the forensic evidence and found something that should have ended the original investigation immediately. The angle of the bullets was wrong. The trajectory didn't match. The positioning of Kait's car on the road didn't line up with a drive-by from a passing vehicle at highway speed. The physics didn't work. What the evidence actually suggested was that the shooter had been positioned differently, closer, more deliberate, in a way that implied this wasn't random at all. In a way that implied Kait may have known the person who pulled up beside her. May have even felt safe enough to slow down. The Albuquerque Police Department acknowledged the findings. They reopened the case officially. And then, nothing. The investigation stalled. No charges. No suspects named publicly. No arrests. Miguel Garcia had long since left the country. The network he was connected to had dissolved and scattered. And once again, the case went cold. Lois Duncan spent every remaining year of her life refusing to accept that silence. Letters to investigators. Interviews with journalists. Conversations with true crime communities who found her daughter's story and couldn't let it go either. She never stopped. She never moved on in the way that people told her she should. She just kept asking the same question to anyone who would listen. She died in 2016. 82 years old. Still without an answer. And that is the part of this story that I cannot shake. This woman wrote fictional murders her entire career. She built entire worlds around the idea that truth eventually comes out, that justice, however delayed, finds its way. And then real life took her daughter. And real life gave her nothing back. No resolution. No chapter ending. No villain finally cornered. Just an open wound and an open file. What happened on that highway in Albuquerque on July 16, 1989 has never officially been resolved. But the evidence, the connections, the motive, the timing, everything Lois spent decades documenting, tells a story that is impossible to ignore. Kait saw something. Kait knew something. And the people who needed her quiet made sure she stayed that way. She was 18 years old. This case has resurfaced repeatedly across YouTube, Reddit, and true crime podcasts because it cuts at something deep, the fear that some murders don't go unsolved because investigators failed. They go unsolved because someone made sure they would. That the right silence in the right places can protect a killer for decades. Kait Arquette deserved better. Her mother deserved better. And somewhere out there, someone is still living with the truth of what happened that night, and has never once had to say it out loud. If this story hit you the way it hit me, drop a comment below. Do you think this was a deliberate cover-up from the start, or a broken system that just kept failing the same family over and over? I genuinely want to hear your thoughts. And if you're not subscribed yet, please do. Like this video, share it, because stories like Kait's deserve to be heard by as many people as possible. She has been waiting a long time for someone to pay attention. The case is still open. The question is still the same. Who killed Kait Arquette?